Welcome to Love Lies Chronicles.
I'd love to know what you think. Every comment helps me make the next story better. Subscribe to stay tuned. The moment my wife told her college friends she married too young, I knew I was done. Not hurt, not surprised, just done. We were at the Keg in Evanston for Rachel's 10-year college reunion. I was sitting at a high-top table with her and 6 of her former sorority sisters. Everyone was drinking, laughing, showing photos on their phones. Rachel had loosened up after 3 or 4 drinks, getting louder with each story about their Northwestern days. Her friends were talking about their lives. Jessica had just gotten engaged and kept flashing her ring. Lauren was going on about her adventures with dating apps and how much fun she was having being single. God, I'm so glad I'm not married yet, Lauren said with a laugh. Still so much fun to have. Jessica looked mock-offended. Hey, marriage can be fun too, right, Rachel? Rachel didn't even pause. Honestly, I think I married too young. We both did. The table went quiet for exactly 2 seconds. Then her friends started agreeing. Yeah, you guys got married right out of college, didn't you? You totally missed out on your 20s. I can't imagine being tied down that young. Rachel was nodding, gaining confidence. Exactly. Sometimes I wonder what life would have been like if I'd waited. I'd been sitting there quietly, holding my beer. I set it down carefully, looked directly at Rachel, then at her friends. Never too late to fix a mistake, I said calmly. I stood up, pulled out my wallet, and left $40 on the table for my drinks. Then I walked toward the exit without looking back. Complete silence followed me. I heard Lauren's voice as I reached the door. Wait, was he serious? I didn't turn around. I kept walking into the Chicago autumn night, got in my car, and drove straight to my brother Kevin's apartment in Rogers Park. The place I'd been planning to go for 3 weeks now. See, this wasn't some spontaneous reaction. This was the final confirmation of what I'd been documenting for 18 months. I slept on Kevin's couch that night. My phone lit up constantly. 27 missed calls by morning. 43 text messages. The voicemails cycled from angry to crying to confused. Her last message came at 3 in the morning. Please come home. We need to talk about this. Kevin woke up around 8, saw me staring at my phone. He's 35, divorced 2 years ago. He understood immediately. About time, man, he said, pouring coffee. Around 9:30, someone knocked on the door. Hard. Kevin answered. He doesn't want to talk to you. This is ridiculous, Rachel's voice came through. It was one comment. I appeared behind Kevin. Let her in. Kevin stepped aside but stayed within earshot. Rachel stormed past him, then stopped when she saw my face. You embarrassed me in front of all my friends, she said. I embarrassed you. I kept my voice level. Interesting perspective. I was just venting. Everyone complains about marriage sometimes. Do they? Or is that just what you tell yourself? You're overreacting to nothing. I pulled out my phone, opened my notes app, scrolled to the list I'd been keeping. July 18th, I read. You told your mother that marriage was harder than you expected, and you felt trapped. Rachel's face went pale. August 3rd. You told your sister that if you could do it over, you'd have traveled more before settling down. You've been tracking what I say? Her voice rose. That's controlling. I've been listening to what you say. There's a difference. I kept scrolling. September 9th. You told Jessica on the phone that you envied her single life. September 22nd, 3 days ago, you told Lauren you sometimes wonder if you married the right person. I showed her the screen. 14 documented instances over 18 months. Each one with a date, who she'd said it to, and the direct quote. Her defense crumbled as she scanned the list. I didn't mean it, she stammered. It's just talk. It's not just talk when you mean it every time. She shifted tactics. You're still holding that thing from grad school against me. What thing? Say it. It was nothing. Just some texts. Texts where you told another man you were falling for him. We never did anything physical. And I forgave you, I said. Went to counseling. Believed you when you said you'd appreciate what we had. But you didn't learn gratitude. You learned I'd tolerate disrespect. Rachel stared at me. What do you want me to do? Nothing. I've been talking to a lawyer for 3 weeks now. You what? Community property state. We'll split everything fairly. I'll be out of the house by Wednesday. What am I supposed to do with the mortgage? Pay it. You make good money now. Thanks to me putting you through school. I can't afford it alone. Then sell it. Not my problem anymore. I grabbed my jacket. Go home. I'll be there in an hour to get my things. Please be gone when I arrive. Where am I supposed to go? Your friends seem to think being single was great. Go find out. She wasn't gone when I got to our house in Oak Park an hour later. She'd called her parents. They were on their way. I packed methodically. Clothes, documents, personal items. Rachel followed me from room to room. What about counseling? She tried. We haven't done that in years. We tried it after your emotional affair. Didn't stick. I've changed since then. Into someone who publicly regrets marrying me. Great change. I was drunk. People say stupid things when they're drunk. Drunk words are sober thoughts. Her parents arrived as I was loading boxes into my car. Tom and Linda Porter walked in looking confused and concerned. Daniel, what's going on? Tom asked. I'm moving out. Rachel can explain why. Linda looked at her daughter. Surely you two can work this out. Ask your daughter what she told her friends last night. Rachel stayed silent. Rachel. Tom's voice got firm. What happened? I said something stupid. Rachel finally spoke. He's blowing it out of proportion. She told a table full of her friends she married too young, I said. They all agreed. I was sitting right there. Linda's hand went to her mouth. Oh, honey. It was just talk. Girl talk. I pulled out the printed copies of my documentation, handed them to Tom. I've been keeping track. 18 months worth. Tom read silently, his face getting more serious with each page. Linda read over his shoulder. Rachel Marie, Linda said quietly. You said all of this while he was supporting you through school? Dad, it's not like it sounds. Tom looked up at me. How much did you contribute while she was in graduate school? About $32,000 for tuition. $66,000 for rent over 3 years. Plus groceries, utilities, insurance, car repairs. Call it $95,000 total. Rachel, is this true? He offered. I didn't ask him to do all that. You're right, I said. You didn't ask. You expected it. And what have you been contributing since graduation? Linda asked. Rachel said nothing. About 20% of monthly expenses, I answered. The rest goes into her savings account. She has about $75,000 saved. I have $12,000. Tom stared at his daughter like he'd never seen her before. You've been banking almost all your money while he carried the load? I was building security. Security from what? Linda's voice cracked. Your marriage? You don't understand what it's like being married so young. I married your mother at 23, Tom said. Never once regretted it publicly or privately. I finished loading my car. Tom walked me out. Daniel, I'm sorry. We raised her better than this. I thought so too. I drove back to Kevin's. Called my lawyer Monday morning. Rachel was served with divorce papers at work on Tuesday. She called me 19 times. I didn't answer. She showed up at my office downtown. Security called my extension. Your wife is in the lobby. Tell her I'll speak through my attorney. Wednesday, she sent a 2,000-word email. She claimed I was being cruel and vindictive, that I was giving up on us. I responded with one line. You had 18 months to change. You chose not to. Thursday, her mother called me. She's devastated, Linda said. I'm sure she is. Is there anything she can do to fix this? She could start by being honest with herself about why this happened. Linda sighed. She's blaming you to everyone, saying you're controlling. I know. 3 mutual friends have already reached out. For what it's worth, Tom and I believe you. We saw the documentation. Thank you. That means a lot. Friday evening, Rachel showed up at Kevin's apartment. She'd dressed up, done her hair, brought my favorite takeout. Kevin answered the door. Really? I need to talk to him. Please. I came to the door. No. 5 minutes. You can talk to my lawyer. Stop saying that. I'm your wife. Not for long. She broke down crying right there on the doorstep. Kevin looked uncomfortable. Rachel, go home. I don't want to lose you, she sobbed. You lost me when you decided I wasn't enough. I closed the door. 3 weeks later, we had our mediation session in an office downtown. Rachel showed up with an expensive attorney. I had Steve Morrison, a straightforward guy who'd done my consultation. Rachel's lawyer opened confidently. My client is willing to split all assets 50-50. Steve slid a folder across the table. Let's review the documentation first. For the next hour, we went through everything. Every bank statement, every mortgage payment, every student loan payment I'd made on her behalf. All of it categorized and documented. Rachel's lawyer's confidence evaporated. My client contributed household labor, emotional support. My client did all the cooking, lawn maintenance, home repairs, and carried 85% of the financial burden, Steve interrupted. Then he mentioned the emotional affair. Rachel's lawyer went pale. She whispered something to Rachel, who looked panicked. They negotiated. Back and forth. Finally, Rachel's lawyer asked if she could speak to me alone. The lawyers and mediator stepped out. Danny, please, Rachel said the moment the door closed. We can fix this. Stop. I know I messed up, but you didn't mess up. You made a choice. Over and over for 18 months. I was just scared. Scared of missing out. And now you won't miss out. You'll have exactly what you wanted. I don't want this. You wanted to be single. You wanted your 20s back. You got your wish. That's not fair. Fair would have been you appreciating what you had while you had it. The lawyers returned. We reached an agreement. I got 60% of shared assets. Rachel kept the house, but had to refinance to buy out my equity. She kept her $75,000 in savings. I kept my retirement account. No spousal support. Rachel signed with shaking hands. I signed calmly. Outside the building, she tried one more time. I never wanted to hurt you. But you did. Repeatedly. What happens now? You figure out if being single is really what you thought it would be. Are you seeing someone? Not your business anymore. I walked away. Over the next month, I watched the fallout unfold. 3 couples we'd been friends with all reached out. 2 sided with me after hearing the full story. 1 tried to stay neutral. Rachel told her version to everyone. He gave up on us over 1 comment. But her college friends knew the truth. They'd been there. Jessica texted me. I'm sorry. We should have stopped her. Not your responsibility, I replied. Tom called me every week. You handled this with more grace than I would have. One of those calls lasted longer than usual. Tom had more to say. Linda and I have been talking, he said, about how we raised Rachel, about what we missed. You didn't miss anything. You raised her fine. Did we? Because our daughter threw away a good marriage because she was nostalgic for college. People make their own choices. She was always a bit entitled, Tom admitted. Even as a kid, always wanted what other kids had. Never quite satisfied with what she got. I saw some of that. We should have corrected it more. Linda feels terrible. Keeps saying we should have taught her gratitude. You can't teach someone to be grateful if they don't want to learn. Tom was quiet for a moment. She asked us for money last month. For the house. No. For general expenses. Said everything was more expensive than she expected. I told her welcome to adulthood. Linda wanted to give it to her. I said no. That must have been hard. It was necessary. She's been living in a bubble, Daniel. Your bubble. She needs to learn what things actually cost. How'd she take it? Not well. Accused us of choosing your side. I told her there are no sides. Just consequences. Linda got on the phone. Daniel, honey, I'm so sorry. You don't have anything to apologize for. I do. I made excuses for her. When she complained about the marriage, I tell Tom it was just normal venting. I didn't want to see what was really happening. Most parents wouldn't. You were good to her. Better than she deserved. I hope you find someone who appreciates that. I'm working on it. After we hung up, I felt bad for them. They were good people who'd raised a daughter that somehow missed the lesson about gratitude. Tom called me every week. You handled this with more grace than I would have. Linda sent a care package to Kevin's place. Rachel's sister Amy reached out. I always liked you better anyway. Rachel kept trying. Week 5, she sent flowers to Kevin's apartment. Card said, I miss my husband. I donated them to a nursing home. Week 6, she posted on social media about biggest regrets and taking people for granted. I'd already blocked her, but mutual friends sent screenshots. Week 7, she showed up at a bar she knew I went to with Kevin. Just coincidentally there with her friends. I saw her, finished my beer, and left without saying a word. Week 8, she texted from a new number. I'm in therapy, learning about myself. Can we talk? I'm glad you're getting help. But no. Please. I understand now what I did wrong. Understanding isn't the same as deserving another chance. How long are you going to punish me? I'm not punishing you. I'm protecting myself. The night after Rachel's 8th attempt to contact me, Kevin and I sat on his balcony with beers. It was late October, cold enough that we could see our breath. You know what I respect about this? Kevin said. You're not being an ass about it. You're just done. Learn from watching you, I said. He laughed. My divorce was messy, eh? Lot more yelling. Did you ever regret it? Every day for the first month. Then not at all after that. He looked at me. You regretting it? No. Just tired. That's normal. He took a drink. My advice. Don't date anyone for at least 6 months. Just be alone for a bit. Figure out who you are without her. That's the plan. That's the plan. You've been half of something for 8 years. Time to be a whole person by yourself. It was good advice. Kevin had been through it. He knew the temptation to fill the void quickly, to prove you were still desirable, to make the ex jealous. She's going to keep trying, he said. Probably for months. I know. You prepared for that. I've got my lawyer's number memorized. Kevin laughed. Good man. We sat in silence for a while. The city hummed below us. Somewhere a siren wailed. Normal Chicago night sounds. You ever wonder if you're being too hard on her? Kevin asked. Every time she calls. And then I remember 18 months of the same complaints. And that thing in grad school. And how she looked her friends in the eye and said she married too young while I was sitting right there. Yeah. Kevin nodded. You're not being too hard on her. 2 weeks later, I found an apartment. After 6 weeks at Kevin's place, I rented a studio in Wicker Park. Small, affordable mine. I decorated simply. No reminders of the marriage. I started going to the gym. Reconnected with old college friends. Took a weekend trip to Milwaukee with Kevin. Started noticing I had more money at the end of each month. One night, I met up with 2 guys from Northwestern. Brad and Mike. We hadn't hung out much since I'd gotten married. They'd invited me out a few times over the years, but Rachel usually had something planned. Or she'd make me feel guilty about going. We met at a sports bar in River North. They'd both heard about the divorce through mutual connections. So you're single again, Brad said, raising his beer. Welcome back. How you holding up? Mike asked. Better than expected. Rachel was always a bit much, Brad said carefully. Mike shot him a look. What? I'm just saying. Remember junior year when she got mad that Daniel went to that concert with us instead of her birthday dinner? Her birthday was the next week, I said. Exactly. But she acted like you'd missed the actual day. I'd forgotten about that. Or maybe I'd trained myself to forget things like that. She had a way of making you feel bad for having your own life, Mike added. We noticed. We just didn't say anything. Why not? Brad shrugged. You seemed happy. Or we thought you were. And who wants to be that friend who talks trash about someone's wife? I get it. But man, Mike said, when we heard what happened at that reunion, we were like, finally. Took you long enough. We spent the night talking about nothing important. Sports, work, plans for the summer. Normal stuff. I realized how much I'd missed it. Having friends. Doing things without checking in first. Not feeling guilty for laughing too loud or staying out too late. Around midnight, Brad asked the question I knew was coming. You seeing anyone? Sort of. Just started. Taking it really slow. Good. Don't rush into anything. Trust me, I'm not. But you're happy? Mike asked. I thought about it. Yeah, I actually am. Then that's all that matters. Walking home that night, I felt lighter than I had in years. I started going to the gym. Reconnected with old college friends. Took a weekend trip to Milwaukee with Kevin. Started noticing I had more money at the end of each month. I also started seeing a therapist. Dr. Patricia Chun had an office in Lakeview. Our first session was awkward. I'd never done therapy before. What brings you in today? She asked. My wife and I are getting divorced. How do you feel about that? Fine, actually. That's the problem. I feel fine. She waited for me to continue. Shouldn't I be more upset? We were together for 8 years. Should you? Everyone keeps asking if I'm okay. Like they expect me to be falling apart. Are you falling apart? No. I'm relieved. Is that wrong? Dr. Chin smiled. There's no wrong way to feel. Tell me about the relationship. I told her everything. The grad school support. The emotional affair. The 18 months of complaints. The reunion. Walking away. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she leaned back. It sounds like you'd been grieving this marriage for a long time before you left. That hit me. What do you mean? You kept records for 18 months. That's not the behavior of someone in denial. That's someone preparing for an ending they already knew was coming. So, I wasn't really in the marriage anymore. Were you? She asked gently. I thought about it. No, not for a while. Then of course you feel relieved. You already did the hard emotional work. You're not ending a happy marriage. You're formalizing an ending that already happened. That made sense. More sense than anything else anyone had said to me. The question now, Dr. Chin continued, is what do you want moving forward? I don't know. That's okay. That's what we'll figure out. I saw her every 2 weeks after that. Slowly, I started understanding why Rachel's comment at the reunion had been the final straw. It wasn't just the words. It was the public validation of private doubts I'd been carrying alone. One evening I was sitting in my studio and realized I hadn't thought about Rachel all day. No anger, no hurt, just nothing. I texted Kevin. I think I'm actually okay. About damn time, he replied. 4 months after I walked out of that reunion, we stood in a courthouse downtown. The judge reviewed our agreement. 2 weeks before the court date, Jessica called me. Rachel's friend from the reunion. The one who'd just gotten engaged that night. I hope it's okay that I'm calling, she said. It's fine. I wanted you to know something. About that night. I waited. Rachel had been talking about you all evening. Before you got there. Complaining about being tied down. About missing out. We all just thought she was venting. We didn't realize how serious it was. It's not your fault. I know. But after you left, she tried to play it off like you were being dramatic. We weren't buying it. Lauren asked her straight out if she even wanted to be married. What did she say? She said she didn't know. That she loved you, but felt like she'd missed something by getting married so young. We all got quiet after that. Because we realized you'd been sitting there hearing all of it. Yeah. My fiancé, he's great. But I know I'm ready for this because I dated other people. I lived alone. I figured out who I was. Rachel never did that. No, she didn't. She calls me sometimes now, Jessica said. Asks about you. If I've heard anything. I don't tell her much. I appreciate that. For what it's worth, I think you did the right thing. Walking away took guts. Thanks. After we hung up, I thought about what Jessica said. Rachel loved me, but felt like she'd missed something. The problem was, she'd decided I was what she'd missed out on. Not travel or adventures or experiences. Me. Our marriage was the obstacle between her and the life she thought she wanted. 4 months after I walked out of that reunion, we stood in a courthouse downtown. The judge reviewed our agreement. Are both parties certain they want to proceed? Rachel hesitated, looked at me. Yes, Your Honor, I said. Yes, Rachel whispered. You're both free to remarry. In the hallway after, Rachel stopped me. Daniel, wait. I turned. I just want you to know you were right. About everything. I know. I took you for granted. I didn't appreciate what I had. I know that too. Is there any chance? No. She teared up. I deserve that. You deserve someone who makes you want to stay married. I deserve someone who doesn't have to convince themselves I'm enough. I hope you find that. I hope you figure out what you actually want. I walked away. Last time I spoke to her. 6 months later, it was late March. Spring in Chicago. I was still in my Wicker Park studio, looking at one-bedroom apartments. I'd gotten promoted at work. My savings account was growing. I joined a recreational volleyball league and was generally content. I met someone through the league. Amy Sullivan. 29, elementary school teacher, never married. She was confident, independent, knew what she wanted. We'd been on 4 dates. Taking it slow. Our first date had been coffee after a volleyball game. Simple. No pressure. We talked for 2 hours about everything and nothing. Teaching, work, Chicago neighborhoods, favorite restaurants. So you're divorced? She'd asked directly. Finalized last month. Recent. Are you ready to be dating? I appreciated the honesty. I think so. But I'm taking it slow. Good. Me too. I'm not interested in being someone's rebound. Fair. What happened? If you don't mind me asking. She told her college friends she married too young. I agreed and left. Amy had laughed. Not mean, just surprised. That's it. That was the final straw. There was a lot before it. There always is. She stirred her coffee. My last boyfriend wanted me to move in after 3 months. Said if I really loved him, I would. I told him if he really respected me, he wouldn't push. We broke up. Sounds like you know what you want. Took me a long time to figure it out. But yeah, I do. Second date was dinner. She insisted on splitting the check. I like paying my own way. Keeps things equal. Third date was a museum. We wandered through the Art Institute for hours. She knew things about paintings I didn't. Made observations that made me see things differently. Fourth date was drinks at a bar in Logan Square. She told me about her students, the funny things they said. I told her about my brother, about learning to live alone again. You seem really well-adjusted for someone freshly divorced, she said. I had a long time to prepare for it. Mentally, I left that marriage 18 months before I physically left. That's smart. Sad, but smart. She knew I was recently divorced. Didn't push for details. The difference between her and Rachel was striking. Amy thanked me for small things. Insisted on paying for her own meals. I like being independent, but I appreciate the offer. She asked about my day and actually listened. No games, no manipulation. She just made me laugh. One Saturday afternoon, I was shopping at Whole Foods in River North, planning to cook dinner for Amy that evening. I pushed my cart around a corner and nearly collided with Rachel. We both froze. "Daniel," she said. "Hi." "Rachel." Awkward pause. "How are you?" "Good. Really good." "You?" "I'm okay. Adjusting." She looked different. Tired. Older somehow. Her cart had single-person portions, wine, frozen meals. "I heard you're seeing someone." "I am." "That's good." She tried to smile. "Is it serious?" "Could be. We're taking our time." She nodded. "What's she like?" I paused, decided to be honest. "Grateful." Rachel flinched. "I see. She appreciates things without me having to point them out. Says thank you without being prompted. Wants to be there. That's what you deserve." "I sold the house," she said after a moment. "Couldn't refinance." "I could have, but it felt too big. Too empty. I'm in a one-bedroom in Lakeview now. It's fine." She didn't mention that her savings account was significantly smaller, or that her reunion friends were mostly married and busy now, or that the freedom she'd wanted felt lonely. I've been thinking a lot about what I said. At the reunion. Yeah. I was so stupid. I had everything and I didn't see it. You saw it. You just didn't value it. I know that now. That's good. Growth is good. Does it matter? That I know now? To you, hopefully yes. To us? No. I know there's no going back. Her voice cracked. I know I burned that bridge completely. You didn't burn it. You just showed me it was never as strong as I thought. If I could go back to that night. You can't. And honestly, I'm glad it happened. She looked surprised. What? Because I was miserable. I just didn't let myself admit it. You saying what you said gave me permission to stop pretending. You were miserable? For a long time. Trying to be enough for someone who didn't want what I was offering. I should let you go. She looked at her cart. You probably have somewhere to be. I'm cooking dinner tonight. For Amy. That's nice. You always were a good cook. Take care of yourself, Rachel. You too. And Daniel? Yeah. Thank you. For what? For not hating me. For letting me learn the hard way. I don't hate you. I just don't love you anymore. She nodded, tears in her eyes. That's fair. We walked in opposite directions. I didn't look back. Rachel watched me go for a moment, then kept shopping alone. That evening, Amy came over to my apartment. I cooked while she helped, laughing at my stories. She was wearing one of my sweatshirts. Music played softly. Wine was open. The silence between conversations felt comfortable. You're quiet, she said. Everything okay? Yeah, just thinking. About. I ran into my ex-wife today. At Whole Foods. She stopped chopping vegetables. Oh, how was that? Fine, actually. Really fine. Do you want to talk about it? Not really. Just grateful. She smiled. For what? For being here. For this. She crossed to me, kissed my cheek. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for showing up. Always. It was a simple moment. But profound. She said, always without weight. Without resentment. Without feeling trapped. She just meant it. I realized this was what partnership actually felt like. Equal investment. Mutual appreciation. No scorekeeping. No resentment. We ate dinner together. She told me about her week. Actually listened when I talked about mine. Laughed at my jokes. Helped clean up without being asked. At the door she said goodnight. Same time next week? Or sooner? Or sooner? She smiled. After she left, I cleaned up the kitchen, content. I thought briefly about Rachel, alone in her apartment. I felt nothing but hope for her. And gratitude for myself. Because sometimes the worst thing someone can do to you turns out to be the best thing they could do for you. Rachel's cruel honesty at that reunion gave me permission to stop pretending everything was fine. I'd spent so long trying to be enough for someone who didn't want what I was offering. Now I was with someone who appreciated it all. She walked away with her regrets and her empty apartment. I walked away with my dignity intact and a future that felt like mine again. Some exchanges work out better than others. Dear listeners, that's our ending. If it resonated, subscribe to support the channel. See you next time.